Hey, this is Sarah Poff, and I'm getting ready to celebrate the 4th of July. I hope you are going to be celebrating too. Oh, wait. First, I got to do my painting so I can decorate my house with my painting. So be joining me here. We're going to be starting our painting here just in a minute. Happy 4th of July. All right, here we go on this painting. So we use the cheaper canvas. This one I call Patriotic Paws, 4th of July. And then don't forget to sign your name when you do these. You know, you never know, you might become famous. So I have a blank one here, and I'll need to sign my name. I always have to remember what I called the painting. Sometimes I'll have to search a bit to figure that out because I forgot to do it at the time. Now what I did with this one, I put my painting, because I drew this last time, for this painting, I put the painting on my computer. I printed me out a dog, just to kind of help me get started with this one. So I'm going to take this off, and I'm going to put my dog on there first. I just have an assortment of brushes. Here we go, assortment of brushes. I don't worry about what kind, how many. Then I have paper plate for my paint palette. And then just a few other fun things around. All right, now I need a pencil. If I can remember where I laid it. Here we go. All right, now I'm going to lay him here. Now on this one, I felt like his nose, after I looked at it, was like, his nose is a little close to the firework. So I'm going to try to maybe keep him where he is, but then I'm going to try to get the firework up here this time. It seems like I never do the same. But sometimes when I teach, I'll go out and teach and I'll look at what the students have done, and they're not the same. You know, you can give the same instruction and they turn out way different. So that's just kind of how it is, and I think that's just all right. Now you could, as I'm going around his scarf right now, I was thinking, you know what, this would be a fun one that you could turn it into a Western cowboy kind of painting, and you can make that kind of scarf on the dog. And you could have a different kind of scene. So I always tell my students to keep these templates. When you make one, just keep it, and then you never know how you might use that again. So I'm going to go ahead and put some of the lines in here. See, I think I want his ear a little longer. And then we have that big old scarf that comes down a bit. And then we need some legs. Okay, well, that's good as a base. Start from there. And then what I think I need to think about next would be the flag. This will be easy to put in, but I need the placement of that flag and then the little flags. So I'm going to, once again, take my pencil out. I like my flag at that slant. You might like it a different way. Just how I like it. All right, so then the stripes are going to go like this. Okay, and then the firework that's here will just be added on top of that. So I'm going to get me a fairly flat brush, about the width, and I'm going to try my best just to go like that and get that flag in. I may have to size it up a little bit later, but I want to just take in, I want to try. I did put just a teeny bit of water on that. I want to just see if I can't do like this. If I need to go back over it later, I can, but I just want to see if I can't just make it happen. Okay, so I'm going to turn my brush over, and I'm going to go over that one. Okay, I definitely need to go back over that one. So I'm just adding some more paint. Just trying to continue that flow, trying to go slow enough that I can kind of stay in the lines I did before. And I'm just going to keep going. Okay, I'm trying to just judge it. What the art teacher said was you just got to do it enough, keep it going enough that their mind takes over and they see what they're supposed to see with it. So that's what we're trying to do. Okay, so my grass is going to start about here. So on my next stripe, I'm going to come down. I'm going to come down to the grass. Give me a little line there so I will remember what I'm trying to do. Got a little paint on me. I've been painting before this painting, so I might have just a little paint. I'm just going to go through here. And I'm not going to worry about that space up close to the dog right now. I can get that later. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to do one more, and then I'm going to call it good. Okay. Now I think I would like to paint this little bit in here before we get away from that. So I'm just kind of trying to fill it in up next to the dog. Right now up next to his scarf, I guess I should say. Sometimes when you concentrate, it's a little harder to talk. Just trying to fill that in. Okay, then this has got enough paint on it that I can just bring that paint down. And then I want to come here. All right. Next thing I would like to do is I would like to get this blue up here. Turning my painting upside down. I've got a lot of paint there, so I'm just going to pull some of that over to fill in that spot right there. And then I'm going to get a different brush. I'll lay the small one there because I may need it here for those little bitty flags. I'm going to get me a different brush and I'm going to paint this blue. And I'm just going to leave the white stripes of the flag. I'm just going to leave them white. If that's something that you would like to do as far as filling the white in later, you could. But with the amount of time that we're trying to get this done in an hour, because remember that's our goal, is to get this done in 1 hour. I'm getting my color in there, and then I'm trying to smooth it out. And then after it's dry, I'll come back around and put some little white dots to represent the flag, the stars on the flag. Okay. Now, as I look at this, I really think I need one more partial stripe. Do just a little bit, and then get my little bitty brush. So I'm trying to do anything I can with the larger brush to save time. There we go. Now we'll turn this around. So I did this one just a little bit different than this one. So I may need to like put a little blue sky there. Let me get a sponge for that. So I'm going to do white and a little blue. I want to think about where that grass is going to be. My pencil's disappearing. So about like right here. So I did touch the sponge to the water. I want to be careful about that red paint. I got it on my fingers. Since I don't want a lot of color there, I'm going to just keep going with a little bit of water. See if I can spread some of this. I'm going to come back in with a brush. See if I can pull some of that paint up. This will be a good place for my fireworks. I'll try the paper towel method here to pull some of that water back out, lessen the amount of paint there. Now I need a little flag here and a little flag here. I want to draw that in. There we go. See if I can get my little bitty brush. I think I might need to use that for the little flags. And I know there's, the right amount on the flag, on the stripes. I'm not going to really worry about that. If you want to count and make sure it's right, but I'm just kind of going on. They're going to look at it and go, oh, well, it's a flag. I'm trying to fill in the space appropriately with the stripes is more my goal. Right. Now let's go for the next one. Get my hands. Sometimes you got to do a little exercise with your hands. The paint's pretty thick right there. I see a little white there, so I'm going to just kind of go over that. All right. Here we go for the next little flag. The little guy. So it's taking a lot of concentration. Concentrate, concentrate. All right. I think I'll get that blue. My brush was big for the other, so now I'm going to get a smaller brush for these little flags. I'm going to paint his scarf while I've got the blue going. It'll need to dry so that I can put the white dots on it. Just painting carefully. So you could take a photo that you have in your phone of your own dog, and you could do what I did is I put my painting from before, from where I drew it, and then I laid it on the computer and got a print. But you could do that with your dog and just enlarge it to whatever position enlargement amount you want to be able to put your own personal dog on there. And I was talking to somebody last night, and we were talking about, you don't have to have it. It's just kind of like what the art teacher said. You don't have to have it exactly right. Just some of that personality has to be the dog that you were talking about, the dog that you wanted it to be. I'm going to fill in the white here on this one. I'm going to get me another brush because that one has a little pink in it. I did get a new set, and I kind of like this one right here. Oh, it must not have been in that brush. It must have been that I touched the spot on the white paint that had the little bit of pink in it. Now see, on this, on its tail, I'm just going to go across like that, because that's going to be grass behind it. I think that'll be all right. And I don't have to develop the feet very much, because those are also going to be in the grass. Might have been better if I'd have done this, the white, before I painted the other. But because the canvas is white, I don't think it's going to make that much difference. Right. All right, I would like to go ahead and blow dry a little bit. I may have to blow dry several different times on this one. And I'm going to do like I did on some of the other paintings, is because there's some items that are pretty small and more detailed and take a lot more with my hands, I'm going to just switch back and forth with some of that. So I'm going to start with I think I'll start with the dots for you. The dog's bandana there. I have a spice bottle that I kept, plastic, and that's where I keep my swabs, especially when I'm traveling. But I do actually have it sitting on my table with all my painting table back home. So I'm just going to touch that. You can paint it with a paintbrush, that's for sure. You could, find some other little object. I mean, a toothpick, the only thing about a toothpick, it's really little, and it's harder to make a little bit of a circle. If you wanted a bigger circle, you could do the eraser on a pencil. And this is something you want to not go fast, because it doesn't make as nice a circle. And you want to dip it in the paint more than you do on some of the other spots that we painted. Okay. Now on the little flag, I think I should put that with a brush because I need it to be smaller. Get a really small brush here. The best thing to do when you're doing something small like this is to at least have your finger on the canvas, but if you have your several fingers, so that you're just like touching down. Okay, somehow there's a little bristle lingering out on the side. Concentration. This takes concentration. And your bristles to be where you want them to be. So always just twist it. All right. I'm going to work a little bit on making some shading on my dog. See that? So I look to my fingers and then I'm just going to twist it. See if I can get it to come back together. Sometimes they're just too far gone and you have to cut them or just stop using them. So I want to do a little bit, like right into here and right into here. I'm going to add a little bit of water to that to kind of smooth it down, but I want to make sure I get some of it off because I don't want it to flow somewhere I don't want it. And then I'm going to switch to a different brush and I'm going to add some more white, kind of blend it together. It's all about painting, evaluating, going back, looking again, thinking about how to make it look like you want. I actually think I got it a little bit long there, but we'll do enough grass there that it shouldn't be that big a deal. I am going to thin down the paint here though. Then I'm going to use a little bit of this paint like right in here, in the inside of his leg there with some shadows on it. A little bit like right in here. If you get too much, then just get a little white and go over it. Get a little white and go over. I'm going to actually go back over to my water and get a lot of that gray out. And then get some more white, go over it. Just got to keep working with it till it gets where you need it. I'm going to take my paper towel, and I don't want to ruche it around. I just want to see if I can pull out just a little bit more of that. All right, let's see how that does. All right. I'm going to make him a little more rounded, I think, here. Which means I have that pencil line that I cover up. But I did a little bit darker pencil than I would have if I were at home, because I wanted you to be able to see it online. It's got a little pink in it. Okay. Let's see. Let's do the brown. I guess I should do the white for the eye and then the brown. Leave the white brush right there. Go for another one. We're going to get a little bit of brown like right here. Has a little brown on his back side. Now the dog is something that in this one that you saw first off, I outlined with pencil because I felt like it needed a little bit more after it dried. However, I did not want anything dark like a Sharpie on it. And I did a graphite pencil on that. Sometimes I use a colored pencil. See if I can paint his ear. Oh, a dog's ear so nice and smooth. All right, my hands are getting tired. Gotta switch. Sometimes I gotta pop my joints too. Let's see, I'm going to start with some of that background grass because then I'll want to do some on top of it. So on that, I'm going to use a little bit of this green I already have mixed. I don't want it to be that bright. I want it to be a little duller, which I've added red in. Red is the complementary color. You could add black if you want it to be that more of a harsh black. Okay, I think that ought to work. Then I'll add some more of the water in. So right now I'm just going to fill in the space. I'm not going to make it look like any grass. If you watch some of my others, we've done that with other items, is just filling in the background. I don't even pay attention to which direction I go when I do that. I come back, Straighten that up later. And I know the grass is going to be above this. That'll be fine. We're just painting where the ground would be. Just filling it in, just filling the background in. I'm going to switch to a little brush so I can get in there by that flag. I think I have enough paint. Just need to pull some of it down. So since I've got some extra here, I'm just going to go ahead and get it going around these feet. Okay. Go back to my big brush. Little water. So I'm just paint. I sure do like to paint. Sometimes I get tired of the fill-in part. It's not as fun as some of the other parts. I know, you know what I'm talking about? Sometimes life has those things, doesn't it? Sometimes life has those things. Okay, turning it upside down. Now I'm going to try to be straight when I go across here. The grass will come up on top of there some, but I still want to see if I can get it as straight as I can. Plus, it's a good practice. So when I leave this, I'm going over to the side here where my water, just a little bit of water is. So I'm going to try to leave that top ball mostly white. Did better with this one than I did with the second one. He's a littler guy, so it's a little bit harder. All right. We're getting it. Making it happen. Making it happen. Oh. His tail is not that big. I got to get that painted in now. helps when you're looking at it from the right direction. You're going, whoa, wait. What was that supposed to be now? Okay, I'm looking for which brush did I have with the green. I guess I'll just pick one, because I don't know. Now I think I've got this kind of smoothed out. It's a little bit greener on this side. We'll take a little bit off. Paper towel's good for that, unless you let it dry completely. And sometimes, because it's acrylic, sometimes you can still get it off even if it's somewhat dry. I know that I can even do that with brushes that I've somehow got lost in the process and I didn't get them clean. I can let them sit there and kind of get them fairly clean. These days, I used to not be able to do that. All right. All right, so I have a little bit of a perspective problem there because the flag needs to be wider. That's the thing you've got to get back from your painting, because that happens that you can see those things when you're a little further back. When you're up close working on it, sometimes you can't. I'm going to turn this sideways. I'm also going to push those out just a bit. And then this would need to be blue then. So I need to go back and get my blue. Sure, I'm glad I saw that now before I got too close to the end. See if I can just pick up just a little. Always helps to just put it on the side there, see what it turns out like. Oh, that looks better. That looks better. All right, now I want to see if I can't get the black of his eye in there, the black of his nose. I'm going to just use that same brush I did, just wiped it off. Sometimes it does need just a little water. Okay, and then there'll be a line that comes down on the mouth right in here, but I'm going to leave that, and I will either put it in with a pencil or I will put it in with a marker later. Okay, that one's got green in it. I'm going to see if I could put just a teeny bit of gray, like right in here. Kind of come on over with this. And then we're going to get some white to go under it. All right. Now I need to leave that alone for just a little bit. I'm going to turn this around and try to get those stars on there. Let's see. I'm going to use this pencil Now, it's eraser. It's an older pencil. It's an eraser. It's kind of stiff, so I just cut it. So you want to use if you use a pencil, just know that the eraser can't really be used after you do this. I used to do a plaza painting with my 5th graders, and we did the pencils for the lights. Worked out real nice. There again, it's kind of like the others, so you gotta dip it each time. You might even have to go over some if you want it to be a nice circle, and push it down. Trying to concentrate. It is acrylic, so you could, like this guy right here is not quite as straight as maybe he should be. You could go back and repaint. However, I usually don't take time to do that. They know what it is. It's that same thing that the teacher said. They actually said, one of my teachers actually said, well, if it's a brick building, only paint a few bricks over in a corner somewhere. They'll get the picture. And I have seen drawings like that. So that's, that's a choice that you can make. Okay. So I keep looking at this spot right there thinking, it needs something. And I know what part of it is the fact that the dog needs to be outlined a little bit. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a little line there so it'll remind me of that. All right. Now this scarf is a little bit of a, well, there would be a tie here. So I might just make a little darker there. I'm going to take my little white brush, I think, and just add a little bit. Take a little bit off. All right. Let's see. Fireworks. I have fireworks here. See if I can make some here. We're going to put it up like maybe like right here. Now even there, you see what I do? I have my wrist resting on the table, and I'm mostly moving my fingers and the upper part of this part, the lower part of my hand, upper part, however you envision saying that. What helps my fingers work. I'm not moving my whole wrist. All right, so we have 2 red. Let's see, I have a white brush. Let's see if I can get a white one going. Okay, there's white. So now we need blue. Now, what I do when I have things like this, that I want just a little bit of glitter on, let me show you. I'm going to put dots around first. I don't want a lot of glitter. A lot of glitter is hard to clean up. It is fun. It is fun. Kids love it. But if you want just a little bit and you want to control it more, let me show you what I do. So I have a little silver. Mine is that, what they call polyester glitter. You could use either kind, any kind, or you could draw with the paint pens. So instead of giving the kid a whole jar, I'm going to give them a pinch. So I'll let them pinch it while I'm watching. Then I'm going to drop this on here. Now I'm going to just leave it like that for right now. And it'll stick, a certain amount will stick to the paint. And then at the end, I'm going to just take it and dump it off. So now we need, got just a little bit more time to get the grass going and the rest of the flags. And we're getting close. And see, then, like I was telling you, you could just outline the dog. He starts to have some more dimension. And I'm not going to worry about his feet, because they're going to be hidden. He does need a little bit of white here, if we can get a little bit more. If not, we'll put some grass right there. Okay, I'm going to turn it a little bit to the side. Now this time I'm using a brownish, blackish colored pencil. I'm going to take my paintbrush and just push it up just a little bit there. Okay. That starts to let you see how that dog's looking. This dog is a little shorter, even though I used the pattern from before. He is definitely a little shorter. Now what I do is I save my patterns, and maybe I would want to have another dog another time in another setting. It's kind of fun to do that. Let's see. I think we've got most of that done. I just need to work on the grass. I need the pole, but I'll put these poles on later. And I need a little bit of yellow. Got some paint from before. Need a little bit of yellow for the pole, the ball on the top of that pole. So I'm going to do like this. Okay. Then let's see, if I go ahead and put the pole, let's see, right here's a good one. If I go ahead and put the pole in, and I might have to go back over it with after I do the grass, but I'll at least have a little idea how I want that to look. Okay. All right. Now let's get busy on that grass. Looking for the brush that I really want to use. Let's see. Which one? I think I want to use this one right here, which means I need to clean it a little bit. I'm going to just wipe that off because it was white, so I just think I can just come in here and just do like this. Now you can, sometimes they'll say that you could use a toothbrush or some other tool like that. You can. I mean, you can experiment with different tools. My granddaughter experimented with a toothbrush the other day. She didn't really like that, how that came out. Or, let's see, it was a toothbrush and a comb. She didn't really like it. But you might. I'm going to try this. See how this brush has been cut? It's kind of here and there. Let's see what happens if I do that kind of dry brush, kind of like that. So you want to make sure you kind of dab it off because it's easy to get too much. Easy to get too much. So that's what that brush does. Now let's see about something like this. Maybe I want something like this. Bristles are a little stiffer. Oh, I think this one's a good one. And then what you could do, if you have one like this, is then come back in and just draw a few blades of grass. I'm going to take a smaller brush and see if I can get up in there with some. By leaving the space for that flag, going ahead and painting in like we did, it's a little bit harder to get all the way around it. There's good things about the other way, there's bad things about the other way. You just have to decide which is best for you, which do you like the best. And part of reasonings of why I choose what I do is the timing, because we want to do it quickly. If we let some things dry and then we came back to it, then it certainly could change it, change what we do. but we're pushing up against close to time here. So we're trying to get it done in a timely manner. So this might be one of those, as I've talked about in other videos, is I might set it by I have a place in the kitchen. My piano is in the edge of my kitchen. And I might set this one there. I usually set them all there at some point along the way, and then see where I might need to add more details. Now what would make it look better? See if I can get this side right here, and then I think we'll be just about finished. All right, I want to go with my wider brush first, and then come back in with some of the other. Now the flag part is dry, but not the dots, so I want to be careful. So I'm touching it to the water, and then to my green on my paint palette. I was using my Corel plates as my paint palettes, and I really like doing that. But then I haven't made any jewelry, and I've got a whole backlog of all my dried paint. So I just decided, maybe I shouldn't save that much. So that's why I made the change in what I use. I think my kids might like that someday when they're cleaning out my house. Because we artists can get a lot of things in our house, let me tell you. All right. We're getting there. We're getting close, close, close. So a little green, little water. Some of it's a little darker than others. Get real close to this, the edge of the dog. See if I can get real close without getting on his white. I think that's close enough, and then when I maybe outline him a little bit better, because I don't want to see as much of that pencil outline that is there, so I'm probably gonna get a thin line Sharpie on him. Okay, I want to do just a little bit in and around that flag, and then I think we'll be about there. Comb that. Oops, right there. Oh, a little more green than there. I'll be putting that by the piano and going, oh man, I messed up. That's why you gotta step back every once in a while. It's a little harder to do that when you're trying to guide the painting. Now don't forget, as we're finishing up, don't forget to put your name on here. You might become famous someday. You might just become famous. And you'd want them to give you the money, or your descendants the money, not somebody else. I always like to, add those kind of little things in. I mean, we don't know. I mean, I probably won't. But it's fun to think about that there's a possibility that something could happen. All right, there's see my little bit of glitter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just turn it like this, and then I just thump, and that adds just a little bit of sparkle. All right, this is Sarah Poff, the multimedia storyteller, and that's a wrap.